With HydraMaster, we're going to shoot some videos today for you covering operations, maintenance, and troubleshooting on your Titan 425 system. Okay, we're going to go through the systems and control on your Titan 425. This is your hour meter. It's going to meter the hours of use on the machine. This is your vacuum gauge. It's going to meter your vacuum pressure. If for some reason this meter is low, you may have a vacuum cuff disconnected. You may need to check. Your pressure gauge, this is going to be telling you your PSI, how much pressure you have, which is controlled by your pressure adjustment here. You can turn your pressure up and down with your pressure adjustment. Your temperature gauge can tell you how hot your solution is. And this is your temperature adjustment. So you can adjust the temperature up and down. Warm for doing upholstery, hot for doing carpet cleaning. Your ignition switch for starting the engine. This is your pump control switch. In the off position, you will have no pressure on your pressure gauge. In the middle position, you can go pump, just pressure and no heat if you need less heat. Pump on heat mode is going to be activating your heat system, so you'll have pressure and heat. The auto pump out feature, unless you have a pump out, you'll leave this switch off. Your pump in system is going to pump the water from the freshwater tank to your live hose reel, so you'll need that on. Talk about the pressure adjustment. It's going to be metered on the pressure gauge. If you're cleaning carpet, you're going to be running anywhere from 300 to 500 psi. You can turn it up here if you're doing tile at 1200 psi, up to 1200 psi for your spinner tools. This is your choke. You're going to need to choke when the engine's cold in the morning. Your throttle cable for adjusting the RPMs on the engine. Your high pressure cleaning quick connect. This is the water going out to your live solution line. Make sure that's clicked in tight. And your incoming fresh water is pumping the water to the machine from the freshwater tank. That quick connect also needs to be hooked up tight. And your water box drain valve here. Okay, this is your chemical system. You're going to use your chemical system for last step chemical injection for your acid rinse or your detergents to mix into this pressure stream going to your wand when cleaning to pH balance, leave the carpets nice and soft and rinsed. So the way you're going to use your chemical system is first need to prime it through the system. You need to you take your chemical feed hose and you're going to mix up your solution into your 5-gallon jug. Once that's ready, you're going to submerge your chemical feed hose in the jug. And then you're going, with the machine running and the vacuum blocked off, it's going to help assist it prime. You're going to set it into the prime mode. And what you're going to see is this bobber here in the chemical flow meter. It's going to shoot up to the top and it's going to prime all the chemical through the system and pull all the air bubbles out of it. You want to let that go for usually takes about 5 seconds to pull until you see no air bubbles in that system. Then your chemical system is primed properly. After you prime the system, you're going to switch it into the on mode. Now you can adjust the rate of chemical you're flowing, gallons per hour, GPH. Typically in carpet cleaning, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 gallons per hour, but you'll assess that on the level of soil on your job and whatnot, how much chemical you need. All right, now that we've gone through the controls, let's set it up to run. On cold mornings or cold starts, you're gonna pull the choke, turn the ignition switch till it starts, push the choke back in, and let it idle. This is a good time to go get your solution hose and your vacuum hose, run them into the house to the furthest point where you're gonna start cleaning, get your tool set up, come back out to the machine, and now pull your throttle and dial it up to your desired cleaning speed. Make sure your pressure is set to the pressure you want to clean at.
Carpet cleaning pressure should be set between 400 and 500 psi. For tile and grout cleaning, turn your pressure up to 1000 to 1200 psi. However, remember, if you go back to carpet cleaning, make sure to turn your pressure back down to 400 to 500 psi.
Make sure your temperature adjustment is set to where you want, which is typically all the way up. At this point, when you're ready to clean, make sure your pump-in system switch is on and make sure your pump-on heat mode switch is on. Okay, now to show you the system live in operation. We have the truck mount running at an idle for noise purposes, so you can hear my voice. Normally you would do this at a high idle. So now with the machine running, and we're going to turn our pump on. You have to have pressure in order to do this. See, we're at 400 psi. So we're going to, with our feed hose into the jug, we're going to prime our system. When prime, it's going to suck out all the air out of the system. See the bobber floated to the top there. You don't want to leave this in prime, because as you're priming the solution, this is going into your waste tank. The longer you're priming, you're wasting chemical. So once we have this all primed, we can now go into the on position. So now we can meter our GPH, gallons per hour. As I turn it counterclockwise, you can see it increase. And like I said, we're going to set this one for carpet cleaning at 4 GPH. Whatever it calls for, it's your job. So you can see here I'm triggering my wand, and I got a solution flow at 4 GPH. As I let go of the trigger, it stops flowing. You'll see the bobber here drop to the bottom. Now I'm not flowing any chemical. I trigger, I'm flowing chemical. That's all there is to running your chemical system. If you have any other questions on the chemical system, feel free to look in your owner's manual, and it's where it's properly laid out for you, or you can call us at HydraMaster Tech Support. At the end of the day, you'll need to lube the blower with spray lube. We recommend LPS TKX that comes with the machine. You can also use WD-40. At the end of the day, you're going to start the engine at full throttle. Block the vacuum port off fully. That way the blower lube will get sucked back into the blower. Then you're going to take your spray lube, spray into the blower lube port for about 3 to 5 seconds. Then you'll go ahead and keep running the machine at full RPM, take the load off of the vacuum, and allow for dry, fresh air to flow through the blower. This will dry everything out. Let it run for about 1 to 2 minutes like that, and then you can shut down the engine and you've lubed the blower properly. Ready to dump your wastewater at the end of the day. Your dump valve is out the back door. It's this yellow handle valve. Hook up your hose, open the valve, and dump your waste tank. When it's all done dumping, you're gonna close the valve again, and you're all done. After you've dumped your wastewater out of your waste tank, you want to come back and get the filter basket to clean out. Pull the filter basket out of the waste tank, remove it, clean it out, set it back into the tank. Then take a quick look at your blower flat filter. Make sure that it's clean daily. If it needs to come out and be clean, you'll then take it out, clean it off, and return it to the waste tank. To check the temperature control orifices on the front of the machine, there are 2 filters. You're going to use a 13/16 socket to loosen them, unscrew them, and check the filter on each. Clean as necessary. Once you have both filters out, you want to look inside. The little tiny hole in there is called an orifice. You want to make sure that it has a clear passage and it's not plugged up with any debris. If it's plugged up with any debris, you can remove that with a 3/16 Allen wrench out the front and clean that and replace as necessary. Okay, so some of the daily maintenance checks you want to make sure you do before starting the equipment are, first thing in the morning is check the engine oil level. You'll do that by the yellow dipstick here. Take the dipstick out, wipe it with a rag, dip it back in, and make sure it's up to the full level. Add oil if needed. On the blower, you'll also need to check the oil level. There's a front sight glass that should be up to the middle level is the full mark on the sight glass. There's also a rear sight glass, same thing, middle level is the full mark. On the high pressure pump, you also have a sight glass in the back. You may need a light to get in there to check it. It has a middle level full as well. If you can't see the sight glass, the yellow cap on the top of the pump is also a dipstick. You can pull that out, wipe it off, dip it back in, and it should be at the full mark. Add oil as needed. If you forget, on the front dash label is a quick reference guide to daily maintenance. Okay, so every time you change your oil at every 50 hours, you want to check your air filter. To do that, you'll loosen the 2 clips on the cover, move it towards the back, you'll see a wing nut that holds the air filter down. Loosen the wing nut, take it off. Then you can remove the air filter assembly. You're gonna have a foam element on the outside of it, which can be cleaned with dish soap. Wring it out dry. Check your air filter. Should be able to see daylight through it. If it's dirty, replace it. To reinstall the air filter, put the foam element over the top. Just put it back in the reverse order. Wing nut back on. And then you put the cover back on. Make sure the clips snap in tight. Okay, every 500 hours, you want to check inside your waste tank the sacrificial anodes. They're on a little cable that you can just fish out. They sit on the bottom. These are the sacrificial anodes. There's two that are screwed down to a bracket. These last about 500 hours. The purpose of these anodes is to make the waste tank prevent corrosion. It'll sacrifice these magnesium anodes before it eats the metal. So every 500 hours, you'll change these sacrificial anodes. They're on this leash. You just take these two screws off and replace them. And then they just drop back down to the bottom of the tank. Okay, so one of the shutdown safeties we have on the machine to protect the blower from sucking water through the exhaust components is the high level waste tank shutoff float switch. Inside the waste tank is a float. As you bring back dirty water into the waste tank, it's going to rise up, lift the float up, and it's going to shut the engine off. So if you're inside the house cleaning and you lose vacuum, then first thing you want to do is come out to the tank, lift the lid, check if your tank is full, meaning the float is lit in the lifted position. If it is, and that's why your machine shut off, then you'll need to dump your waste tank down to a safe level, and then you can restart the machine. The second safety shutoff is the low water box float switch. It's measuring the water level in the water box. The purpose of the low water box float switch is to protect the pump from running dry. So if the water box water level is below the float switch, it will shut off the power to the pump clutch. If you're in the house cleaning and you lose pressure, you can come out to the water box, take the lid off, and see if the water level is lower than the float. If it is, you'll need to troubleshoot why you're not getting water to the water box. First, you'll check and make sure you have enough water supply in your water tanks. Also check that your incoming quick connect is connected. The third safety shutoff is the solution high temperature switch. In the event the solution gets over 285 degrees, this is an overheat situation. It will shut off the pump clutch as well, and you will lose pressure. So if you lose pressure due to an overheat situation, one of the first things you can check is the recirculation orifice on the front of the machine. That would be the one labeled as primary orifice small. Check the filter, make sure it's clean, and also check the small orifice with the hole back there and make sure it's not plugged up. If that gets plugged up, that can create an overheat situation. If it's plugged up, you can take it out with a 3/16 Allen wrench and clean it out and then reinstall it. That's a quick rundown of your Titan 425. Should you have any further questions or assistance, please contact HydraMaster Tech Support at 425-775-7275. Happy cleaning.